You are driving a $70,000 piece of rolling engineering, yet you are operating it like a 1998 base model work truck. Dealerships spend exactly 15 minutes pairing your phone via Bluetooth during delivery. Then they send you out the door. They deliberately hide advanced parameters deep inside software submenus. They do this because standard configurations minimize warranty claims from uneducated drivers. You paid for the physical hardware. The sensors, solenoids, and modules are already bolted to your chassis. Yet, you leave half of your truck's actual capability completely dormant. Worse, ignoring these hidden settings actively accelerates mechanical wear. You are trading a simple 2-minute menu adjustment for a $4,000 repair bill down the line. Let us stop letting corporate default settings dictate how your truck performs. We are going to unlock what you actually paid for. Setting 11. The Independent Running Board command. Your power running boards are not just a cosmetic entry step. Treating them that way is a massive waste of utility. Most owners watch them deploy when a door opens and retract when it shuts. That is the factory default behavior. But every time those boards cycle unnecessarily in winter slush, road salt packs into the pivot brackets. The electric motor fights increased mechanical resistance. This burns out the internal gears. A replacement motor assembly costs over $2,200 per side. A simple programming choice prevents this entire failure cycle. You can convert these boards into a static, on-demand work platform directly from your key fob. You do not need to open a single door, .rec to your center touchscreen. Select Vehicle Settings, then open the Running Boards menu. Enable the fob deployment option. Now, walk to the rear of your truck with your hands completely full of cargo. Press your unlock button twice in rapid succession. Both running boards deploy simultaneously while the cab remains sealed. You instantly gain a secure, stable platform to load gear directly into the truck bed. Actionable fix. Open your touchscreen menu right now. Change the running board setting from auto to out when working around the bed, or select off during freezing winter months to protect those $1,200 electric motors from binding. Setting 10. The Pre-Collision Assist calibration flaw. The factory calibration for your pre-collision assist system is an absolute compromise. It is designed for a hypothetical average driver, not your specific daily environment. Leaving this system on the default normal sensitivity creates a dangerous driving experience. The forward-facing radar behind your grille reads overhead steel bridges, metal construction barriers, or turning vehicles as immediate threats. The computer commands the ABS module to pre-charge the brake lines. If the radar misreads the threat completely, the system triggers a violent, unprompted emergency brake application. This sudden deceleration can cause a trailing vehicle to rear-end your truck. It costs you a massive collision deductible. It also destroys your rear differential housing during the impact. You must calibrate the system radar to match your actual driving topography. Open your driver assistance menu on the main touchscreen. Locate the Pre-Collision Assist section. You will find separate adjustments for alert sensitivity and active autonomous braking. You will also see a completely independent slider for pedestrian detection if your daily commute involves highway driving with heavy steel infrastructure. Reduce the vehicle detection sensitivity to low. This stops false radar returns from slamming your brakes on the highway. If you drive through dense urban areas with high foot traffic, maximize your pedestrian detection sensitivity. Actionable fix. Access your driver assistance menu. Manually adjust your vehicle detection sensitivity down one notch to eliminate phantom braking, but keep pedestrian detection at high sensitivity to let the camera optical sensors do their job in the city. Setting 9. The hidden cluster diagnostics. Your instrument cluster is lying to you by omission. The factory programs the center display to show only two basic metrics: your average fuel economy and a trip odometer. Meanwhile, critical telemetry data remains completely hidden behind three submenus. Drivers rely on a generic dashboard warning light to tell them when a system fails. By the time that light illuminates, the damage is already done. A charging system failure will stall your truck in traffic. This leaves you stranded with a $300 towing bill and a $400 alternator replacement. You can view live engineering data across 12 separate digital screens without spending a single dollar on aftermarket gauges. Use your left-hand steering wheel directional pad. Press the left arrow to back completely out of the main menu loop. Scroll down to the dedicated truck info and towing submenus. Select the advanced gauge view. You will unlock a real-time digital battery voltage readout. This allows you to monitor alternator output under heavy electrical load before the charging system fails completely. You will also find a live oil life percentage monitor, real-time individual tire pressure metrics, and a digital tongue weight estimation screen. The tongue weight screen uses the factory suspension ride height sensors to calculate exactly how much load your trailer places on the rear axle. You do not need to guess your tongue weight at a commercial scale. The data is already inside your dashboard. Actionable fix. Use your steering wheel buttons to change your default home screen from the trip odometer to the 4-gauge summary screen. Monitor your live voltage and individual tire pressures during every single drive. Setting 8. The Trailer Sway Control Trapford installs an automated trailer sway control system on every modern truck chassis. They market it as a safety feature that saves lives. They do not tell you that your natural driving instincts will fight this system and cause a catastrophic highway accident when a passing semi-truck or a crosswind initiates trailer sway. The truck's internal yaw sensors detect the lateral movement. The computer immediately commands individual brake calipers to fire independently. It also cuts engine throttle by reducing turbocharger boost pressure. When this happens, the driver feels the truck pulling violently in different directions. The natural human instinct is to panic, slam on the brakes, and steer hard against the direction of the sway. This response is a critical mistake. Manual braking overrides the computer's delicate, wheel-specific braking strategy. Steering into the sway forces the stability control module to recalculate its path corrections. This amplifies the oscillation. A jackknife accident will completely write off your truck and your trailer. This represents a $100,000 financial loss. You must let the software execute its programming without human interference. Understand the mechanical reality of the system. The truck can apply braking forces to a single front wheel faster than your brain can process the emergency. When the trailer begins to sway, you must maintain a firm grip on the steering wheel and keep it pointed dead, straight down the center of the lane. Do not touch your brake pedal. Do not attempt to steer out of the sway. Actionable fix. The next time your trailer initiates a minor sway event, keep your feet completely off the pedals. Hold the steering wheel completely straight and let the ABS module stabilize the load automatically. Setting 7. The Easy Exit Seat Track Save. Every time you slide your body out of a tall truck cab, you place immense lateral force on the outer seat bolster. You also drag your legs against the lower plastic trim panel. This snaps the plastic retaining clips over time. More importantly, exiting a cramped cabin forces you to twist your spine while putting pressure on the steering column. This induces premature wear on the electronic steering rack gears. Replacing a leather seat cover and a stripped steering column assembly costs upwards of $2,500 parts and labor. The solution is already programmed into your body control module. It is called Easy Entry and Exit, and it is turned off at the factory. Go to your vehicle settings menu on the center touchscreen. Click on the seating submenu and toggle the Easy Exit feature to enabled. The mechanical operation is completely automated. The moment you shift into park and open the driver's door, the power seat track receives a command to slide back 2 inches. Simultaneously, the electronic steering column tilts upward and telescopes inward toward the dashboard. This instantly maximizes your cabin entry clearance. You can step directly out of the truck without compressing the seat foam or pulling on the steering wheel. When you return, close the door and cycle the ignition. The memory module returns the seat and steering wheel to your exact driving position. Actionable fix. Turn on the Easy Exit toggle in your seating menu today. This simple software activation eliminates daily physical strain on your seat foam and saves your steering column gears from premature failure. Setting 6. The stop-and-go commuter misuse. Most truck owners treat adaptive cruise control like standard cruise control from the 1990s. They turn it on when the highway is wide open, and they shut it off the moment traffic slows down. This habit destroys your brake pads and cooks your transmission fluid during daily stop-and-go commuting. Manual driving in heavy congestion forces constant transitions between the throttle and the brake. This creates continuous torque converter, clutch engagement, and disengagement. The resulting friction spikes your transmission fluid temperature past T20 GON or F. This degrades the fluid and ruins your clutch packs. A complete transmission rebuild on a modern 10-speed unit easily exceeds $7,000. Your truck possesses full stop-and-go capability down to 0 miles per hour. But you are not utilizing the system logic correctly. Engage your adaptive cruise control while stuck in heavy commuter traffic. Set your target speed to the normal highway limit. The forward radar and camera system will lock onto the bumper ahead of you. The truck will handle all braking and acceleration down to a complete stop without your foot ever touching a pedal. When traffic stops completely, the system holds the service brakes automatically. This keeps the transmission in a neutral pressure state to reduce heat buildup. When the vehicle ahead moves forward, you do not need to scramble for the gas pedal. A single light tap of your thumb on the steering wheel resume button gets the truck moving smoothly again. The system applies throttle based on advanced algorithms that optimize fuel economy and minimize torque converter slip. You save money on fuel, you protect your transmission clutches, and you eliminate commuter fatigue simultaneously. But these automated convenience features are only the tip of the iceberg. The most severe mechanical vulnerabilities are hidden inside the systems you use every single day without a second thought. And what happens when you turn the key fob around completely changes the financial stakes of ownership. Setting 5. The key fob remote start sequence blind spot. Every winter morning, millions of truck owners open their smartphone apps, wait for a cellular signal to ping a remote server, and pray their truck starts. They do this because nobody told them that the exact same capability is hard-coded directly into the hardware of their key fob. Relying on smartphone apps for daily vehicle operation creates a massive security and financial vulnerability. When your phone app sends a start command, it routes through external cellular networks and factory servers. If that network drops, or if the manufacturer decides to put that app feature behind a $150 annual subscription paywall, which they are actively doing, you are locked out of your own truck's convenience features. Worse, letting your truck idle blindly via an app for extended periods without monitoring creates severe mechanical risk. If an oil line develops a leak or a coolant hose cracks while the truck is starting remotely from a mile away, the engine will continue to idle under low oil pressure or high temperatures until it seizes completely. An engine replacement on a modern twin-turbo EcoBoost or Power Stroke diesel will cost you between $11,000 and $16,000. Using the physical key fob bypasses the cellular network entirely. Operating on a secure, direct radio frequency with a built-in safety timeout, most owners look at their key fob, see the circular arrow button, press it, and nothing happens. They assume their truck lacks the feature. The computer requires a specific multi-step handshake protocol to verify intent and prevent accidental activation in your pocket. You must press the physical lock button exactly once. This primes the body control module and locks all 4 doors to secure the cabin. Within 3 seconds of hitting lock, you must press and hold the remote start circular arrow button for a full 2 seconds. The parking lights will flash twice to confirm the handshake is successful. The fuel pump will prime, and the starter motor will engage. By default, this hardware-level start commands a strict 10-minute runtime limit. If you need to extend that runtime because of extreme weather, you do not need to turn the truck off and restart it. Repeat the exact same sequence. Lock once, then hold remote start while the engine is running. The computer will add an extra 10 minutes to the countdown timer, capping it safely at 20 minutes total to prevent fuel dilution in the engine oil from excessive idling. Actionable fix. Stop paying for monthly vehicle app subscriptions. Test your physical fob sequence today. Press lock once, then immediately hold the circular arrow button for 2 seconds. Memorize this sequence to run your climate control completely independent of cellular networks or subscription paywalls. Setting 4. The MyKey Speed and Safety Limiter. Trap handing your keys to a teenager, a valet parking attendant, or a service technician is an exercise in financial risk. They see a high-horsepower truck and treat it like a toy, unaware that modern variable geometry turbochargers and high-torque drivetrains can break traction instantly on wet pavement. Leaving your vehicle completely unrestricted when someone else is behind the wheel is an open invitation to a mechanical catastrophe. An unexperienced or reckless driver can silently over-rev a cold engine, spinning the turbochargers up to 200,000 RPM before the engine oil has reached its optimal operating temperature of 190 GOR-MF. When cold, thick oil cannot properly lubricate the precision journal bearings inside the turbo center housing. The bearing scores, the shaft snaps, and pieces of the compressor wheel are sucked directly into the engine intake. A destroyed turbocharger and subsequent engine debris ingestion results in a $12,000 repair bill that your insurance company will refuse to cover due to driver negligence. You can hard-code permanent electronic performance ceilings into a secondary key fob using the factory MyKey configuration system. This system does not use an honor system or an app. It rewrites the operating parameters inside the powertrain control module the moment that specific key enters the ignition slot or cabin proximity zone. To set this restriction, you must have your primary admin key inside the cab with you. Go to your center touchscreen settings menu and select MyKey. Insert the secondary key fob that you intend to restrict into the backup slot, typically located at the bottom of the center console or under the cup holder mat. Select C. Create MyKey on the screen. The computer will now ask you to define the exact boundaries for this specific fob. You can set a hard top speed limit capped at 65, 70, or 75 miles per hour. No matter how hard the driver presses the accelerator pedal, the electronic throttle body will refuse to open past the angle required to maintain that specific velocity. Furthermore, you can enable a persistent audio volume limit that cuts radio output at 45% maximum capacity, forces the traction control system to remain permanently active, and completely mutes the radio until the driver and passenger's seatbelts are buckled. The restricted driver cannot access the settings menu to delete these parameters. Only your primary admin key can clear the restrictions. Actionable fix. Designate one of your 2 factory keys as a MyKey restricted fob right now. Program it with a 70 miles per hour speed cap and a permanent traction control lock. Keep the admin key for yourself and only hand out the restricted key whenever your truck leaves your site. Setting 3. The center console flat workspace malfunction. The center console armrest in your truck is engineered to hold over 40 pounds of vertical load. Yet most owners use it as a simple elbow rest or a dumping ground for loose change. They are completely unaware that the heavy-gauge steel hinge mechanisms underneath are designed to reconfigure the entire ergonomics of the front cabin. When you try to fill out paperwork, manage logistics logs, or use a laptop while balancing them awkwardly on your steering wheel, you are fighting the physical layout of the truck. More importantly, dropping heavy tools or electronic devices onto the plastic steering wheel shroud or the column shifter can fracture the internal shifting detents or damage the clock spring electrical ribbon inside the steering wheel. A broken clock spring disables your driver's airbag, causes an immediate safety fault, and costs over $600 to replace at a dealership. You can transform the center armrest into an extended, locked-in-place, flat workspace surface designed specifically to handle heavy laptops and commercial tools without damaging your interior trim panels. On trucks equipped with the standard full center console, look closely at the underside perimeter of the upholstered armrest pad. There is a secondary, flush-mounted release latch located right at the front edge, hidden just beneath the main storage lid lever, instead of pulling upward to open the console vault. Press this secondary release and slide the entire top pad forward toward the dashboard center stack. The pad rides on heavy-duty integrated steel tracks, extending forward by several inches to bridge the gap over the open cup holders. This creates a perfectly flat, stationary desk surface that puts zero pressure on your steering column or dashboard trim. on higher trim configurations featuring the folding gear selector. You must press the console button to drop the transmission shifter completely flat into its recessed pocket once the shifter is flush. Pull the release handle on the back of the armrest lid and fold the entire console top forward 180 degrees. The split folding lid deploys an industrial-grade plastic work table directly over the center console footprint, providing a massive, level workstation capable of holding up to 50 pounds of equipment without flexing. Actionable fix. Go out to your center console. Drop your electronic shifter flat if equipped, or locate the secondary sliding track latch under the front cushion. Extend or fold the workspace fully to lock the steel tracking pins in place before setting any heavy equipment down in your cab. Every one of these settings represents a physical component you already paid for but are actively misusing or ignoring. But as bad as it is to leave these convenience and structural settings dormant, it is nothing compared to the hidden fluid and powertrain parameters that are quietly destroying your four-wheel drive system every time the ambient temperature drops below freezing. Setting 2. The Tire Fill Alert Calibration Oversight. Proper tire inflation is not a matter of visual inspection or gas station convenience. Operating your truck with even a minor deviation from the factory cold inflation pressure specification creates a destructive mechanical feedback loop. Most owners wait for the low tire pressure warning light to illuminate on the dashboard before pulling up to an air compressor. By then, you have already compromised the structural integrity of the tire carcass. Running a heavy truck on underinflated tires increases sidewall flexing. This flexing creates intense internal heat buildup, exceeding 200 GoF within miles. This thermal load degrades the rubber compounds and causes internal tread ply separation on a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive platform. Mismatched tire pressures alter the rolling circumference of individual wheels. If one tire is underinflated by just 5 psi, it spins at a higher revolutions per mile rate than the opposing tire on the same axle. This rotational delta forces the differential spider gears to spin continuously at highway speeds, generating extreme frictional heat that breaks down the gear oil. Within months, you face a completely pitted ring and pinion gear set or a catastrophic transfer case failure. A rear differential rebuild and a new set of heavy-duty truck tires will easily set you back $20,500 in parts and specialized labor. Your truck contains an automated airband tire monitoring system called TI Refill Alert, programmed directly into the body control module, but it remains completely useless if you do not initialize the handshake protocol. You do not need an external pencil gauge or a second person checking a digital readout while you crouch in the dirt to activate this internal calibration sequence. Park the vehicle and leave the engine idling to keep the tire pressure monitoring sensors fully awake. Not at your center touchscreen or digital cluster menu to the vehicle settings. Locate the tire pressure section and toggle the Tire Fill Alert mode to active. Walk to the tire that requires service and connect your air compressor line directly to the valve stem. The moment the vehicle computer registers a steady increase in inflation pressure, it takes complete control of the truck's external alert systems. As you pump air into the tire, the exterior hazard lights will begin to flash sequentially, confirming that the system is actively monitoring the pressure delta the moment the tire reaches the exact factory-specified cold inflation pressure for that specific axle position. Whether it is 35 psi on a half-ton or 60 psi on a heavy-duty platform, the truck will emit one crisp, short chirp of the horn. This is your direct mechanical audio cue to disconnect the airline immediately. If you ignore the cue and overinflate the tire by more than 3 psi, the truck will sound a rapid, aggressive burst of 3 horn honks. This indicates that you must immediately depress the valve stem core to bleed the excess air pressure back down until you receive the single confirmation chirp. Actionable fix. Enable the Tire Fill Alert toggle in your settings menu before your next tow or road trip. Rely on the vehicle's internal pressure sensors and horn feedback loop rather than cheap, uncalibrated handheld gauges to protect your expensive differential assemblies from rotational wear. Setting 1. The automated park brake and drivetrain lash trap. This is the single most deceptive default configuration on modern Ford trucks. and it is quietly destroying your parking pawl and your rear axle assembly every single time you park on an incline. The factory programs your electronic parking brake to remain dormant unless you manually pull the dashboard switch. When you shift your automatic transmission into park on a hill and release the foot brake, the entire weight of a 6,000-pound vehicle rolls backward or forward by an inch or two. That sudden, metallic thud you hear and feel inside the cabin is the sound of physical devastation, mechanically. That movement represents the entire kinetic energy of your truck, slamming directly into a tiny piece of metal inside the transmission tail housing, called the parking pawl. The parking pawl is a small, spring-loaded locking wedge that drops into a notched parking gear on the transmission output shaft. When you let the truck roll against that pawl, you place thousands of foot-pounds of shearing force on a component no larger than a standard pocket knife blade. Worse, that immense force is transferred down the drive shaft and into the rear differential, binding the pinion gear tightly against the ring gear under extreme mechanical stress. Over time, this continuous impact, stretching deforms the parking pawl pin, chips the teeth of the parking gear, and creates severe drivetrain lash within your differential assembly. When that pawl finally snaps, or the parking gear strips out, your truck will completely lose its mechanical lock, allowing it to roll away freely. A complete transmission teardown to replace a shattered parking pawl costs upwards of $500 if the vehicle rolls away and impacts a structure. You face a total financial write-off exceeding $70,000. You can reprogram the body control module to apply a strict mechanical sequencing protocol that eliminates parking pawl stress entirely. You must force the vehicle to hold its own weight using the heavy-duty rear brake calipers before the transmission is ever allowed to take the load. Enter your vehicle settings menu on the center touchscreen. Open the Vehicle Configurations tab and look for the Auto Park Brake or Automatic Electronic Parking Brake function. Toggle this feature to Enabled. With this software logic active, the truck changes its shutdown sequence fundamentally. The moment your vehicle speed reaches 0 and you move the gear selector into the park position, the electronic brake actuators on the rear calipers instantly spin out, clamping the brake pads tightly against the rear rotors with massive hydraulic force. The parking brake engages before you can lift your foot off the primary service brake pedal. When you release your foot, the truck remains completely stationary. The parking pawl drops smoothly into the output shaft gear without bearing an ounce of vehicle weight. When you return to the truck, start the engine, shift into drive or reverse, and touch the accelerator pedal, the computer automatically releases the electronic parking brake smoothly, ensuring zero binding across the entire drivetrain. Actionable fix. Open your vehicle settings menu immediately and turn on the Auto Park Brake function. If your specific model year requires manual execution, memorize this strict operational sequence. Come to a complete stop. Keep your firmly on the service brake. Pull the electronic parking brake switch to engage the rear calipers. Shift into park, and only then release your foot from the brake pedal. The final warning, unshackle your hardware. Your truck is an incredibly advanced piece of industrial machinery, but it is only as good as the parameters running inside its modules. Leaving your vehicle on factory default settings is an open admission that you are willing to let standard, compromised programming compromise your mechanical components. The engineers spent years designing these defensive systems, yet the marketing teams and dealership networks leave them turned off to prevent basic user confusion. Stop driving a crippled machine. Take control of your investment, protect your mechanical components from unnecessary wear, and stop paying for repairs that could have been avoided with a simple menu selection. Let us review the definitive action plan to secure your truck today. Running boards. Switch from auto to out when accessing the bed to save the lift motors, or deactivate them in freezing mud and road salt conditions. Pre-collision assist. Calibrate vehicle detection sensitivity down to low on structured commuter highways to eliminate dangerous, unprompted phantom braking events. Clot diagnostics. Move your default home screen to the advanced gauge view to actively monitor live alternator voltage and individual tire pressures before a failure strands you. Trailer sway control. Lock your hands at 12 o'clock and maintain a dead straight path during a sway event. Never touch the brake or countersteer against the electronic system stability corrections. Easy exit seats. Toggle the entry exit seating option to enabled to slide the track back automatically, preserving your leather seat bolsters and steering rack gears from physical strain. Rament start. Stop funding monthly app subscriptions. Execute the hard-coded fob sequence by pressing lock once, then holding the circular arrow button for 2 seconds to prime the cabin safely. My Key Limiter. Program your secondary key fob with a strict speed cap and traction control lock before handing your keys to teenagers, valets, or mechanics to insulate your turbochargers from abuse. Flat workspace. Release the secondary sliding latch on your armrest pad or drop the electronic shifter flat to deploy a level work table, keeping heavy equipment off your delicate steering column. Trim, tire fill alert. Initialize the automatic pressure monitoring handshake protocol before airing up your tires, allowing the single horn chirp to dial in the exact position-specific circumference your differentials need. Auto park brake. Enable automatic electronic parking brake engagement to anchor the vehicle's weight on the rear brake rotors, saving your fragile transmission parking pawl from a catastrophic shear failure. The hardware is already sitting in your driveway. The software is already running in your modules. The choice to unlock it is entirely yours. Adjust your settings, protect your machine, and do not let corporate defaults dictate your mechanical longevity.